My name's Evan. I'm 33, work in corporate strategy for a tech firm outside Chicago. If you met me at a bar, you'd think I'm put together, well-dressed, socially fine, polite, funny enough to hold a conversation. You'd never know what really happened that year. This is the story I've never told anyone. I call it, She Drove Me Home, then asked if I wanted to visit her place. I met her on a Tuesday. Her name was Claire. She wasn't from our department. I first noticed her standing near the espresso machine in the 22nd floor break room, flipping through some report. Her ID badge dangled from her neck, and her lips moved silently as she read. She didn't look up when I walked in. She didn't notice the way I paused, pretending to fill my mug just to catch her name. Claire Reese, marketing. I didn't speak to her that day. The first real conversation we had happened a week later. I was late to a cross-functional meeting, walked in just as they were introducing the project leads. She glanced up when I apologized and slid into a chair across from her. "Rough morning?" she asked quietly as the presenter clicked through slides. "Late night," I said. "Code reviews." "You?" She smiled faintly. "Rough decade." That line stuck with me. Over the next few weeks, we exchanged more comments and meetings, shared Uber rides to client dinners, a few after-hours laughs in the hallway. She was sharp, quick with sarcasm, always 3 steps ahead. But there was something underneath it all, like she was always watching the room for an exit. One Thursday night in early November, a team happy hour turned into something longer. She and I ended up at a quieter bar near Lakeview, sipping bourbon like we weren't colleagues, like we weren't pretending to be cooler than we were. "You don't talk about your family?" she said, tracing the rim of her glass with her finger. I shrugged. "They're complicated. What about yours?" She looked away, eyes glazing for half a second. "Dead," she said flatly. "Both. Car accident. I was 21. I stared at her, unsure if she was joking. "I'm sorry," I said finally. "Don't be," she replied. "They weren't good people." The silence after that wasn't awkward. It was intimate. We left the bar around midnight. I was drunk enough that I didn't want to navigate the train. She offered to drive. "You trust me behind the wheel?" she asked with a smirk. "After 4 bourbons?" "Sure, why not?" The city was cold. Her car smelled like peppermint gum and leather. We didn't talk for a few blocks. Then, as she slowed in front of my apartment building, she turned her head slightly and said, "You want to come back to my place instead?" My stomach flipped. I said yes. Her apartment was about 15 minutes away. Sparse, industrial, high ceilings and tall windows, but cozy in the corners. A record player was spinning low jazz in the background. I remember the warmth of her couch, the way she handed me a hoodie that was probably her ex's. We didn't sleep together that night. We talked until the sun cracked through the blinds. About movies, regrets, grief. I remember thinking, God, I don't want to leave this room. But I did. Around 6 a.m., she smiled, kissed my cheek and said, "Now you know where I live. That's dangerous." The days after that blurred. Texts during meetings, inside jokes and email threads. Lunch breaks that lasted too long. There was something dangerous about her. She wasn't looking for anything serious. She made that clear. But I was already falling. She'd crawl into my brain at night like a fog I didn't want to clear. One night, about a month in, we were lying in her bed watching an old Hitchcock film. She paused the movie during a murder scene and asked me, "Do you think people are capable of hiding who they really are forever?" I laughed, nervously. "That's a hell of a mood change." She didn't smile. "I'm serious." I turned to her. "No, I think we all crack eventually. The truth finds a way." She looked at me like she was testing me. "Even if the truth's ugly? Especially then," I whispered. That night she cried in her sleep. I didn't ask why. The first real crack came just after New Year's. Our company was restructuring, and someone from HR leaked a file that got passed around: pay grades, performance evaluations, manager comments. Claire's name was flagged. Needs emotional management support. Occasionally volatile. Should be monitored. I didn't believe it until I saw it in her eyes. The following week, she didn't come in. Didn't reply to texts. Her apartment went dark. No lights. No sign of her at work or at home. I went over one night, banged on the door, and a neighbor came out. "You looking for Claire?" the guy asked, rubbing his eyes. "Yeah," I said, breathless. "She moved out. Couple nights ago. Didn't leave a forwarding address." "What?" I blinked. She didn't tell anyone?" The man shook his head. "Didn't seem like she wanted to be found." I stood outside her building for what felt like hours. Cold wind slapping my face. Everything we'd shared suddenly felt like a dream, like I imagined the entire thing. My phone buzzed. A text. "Unknown number. Don't look for me, Evan. Please." That was all. And then she was gone. The winter dragged on like a ghost story. I couldn't focus at work. Every meeting, every elevator ride, every group Slack message felt like static. Claire was gone and nobody seemed to care. Or maybe they didn't know her the way I did. Maybe they didn't feel how her laugh could light up a dead room. How her voice softened when she said your name like she was afraid it would break. I replayed everything. Every moment. Was it all performative? Did she manipulate me? Or was she just trying to outrun something inside herself? Weeks passed. I started therapy. My therapist, Dan, kept pushing the same question. "Why do you think you were drawn to her?" I didn't have an answer. Or maybe I had too many. 3 months later, in early April, something strange happened. I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid photo. It was a blurry shot of Claire, standing on a rocky shoreline, wrapped in a tan coat, hair flying in the wind. Her eyes were closed. Behind her, a lighthouse. No note, no signature. I turned it over, scribbled faintly on the back. "You said the truth always finds a way. Let's see." I showed it to Dan. "Do you think she's in danger?" he asked carefully. "I think she's in hiding," I whispered. The next weekend, I rented a car and drove north. I don't know what I was chasing, closure, maybe hope. The photo felt like Maine. That narrow coastline. That kind of lighthouse. And Claire had once mentioned she used to visit a cabin in Kennebunkport when she was a kid. I booked a place nearby. I told no one. My boss thought I was burned out. Maybe I was. Or maybe obsession just wears a nice suit sometimes. The town was sleepy, foggy, smelled like brine and secrets. I visited diners, asked locals about the lighthouse. No one recognized Claire, but they pointed me to an old trail near Walker's Point. I walked it the next morning, air thick with ocean mist, my breath visible. The path narrowed into rock, and then there it was, the lighthouse, and standing at its base was her, Claire. She looked older, thinner, but it was her. I didn't call out right away. I just watched. She was throwing stones into the ocean like she was feeding it memories. Then she turned, saw me. Her eyes widened, lips parted like she couldn't breathe. "Evan?" she whispered. I walked slowly toward her. "You sent the photo," I said, not a question. She nodded. "I didn't think you'd come." "I shouldn't have," I replied. "But I had to." She stared at me for a long time. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Then why disappear?" Claire exhaled like it cost her something. She sat on a flat rock and motioned for me to do the same. "I told you my parents died in a car crash," she said. "That part's true. But what I didn't tell you is that I was driving." I froze. She continued, voice barely above the waves. "They were drunk, fighting in the back seat. I was 17, lost control. I survived. They didn't." I felt my throat close. "They'd abused me for years. It's complicated," she added. "I don't even know if it was an accident anymore." I looked at her, unsure if I should touch her, speak, cry. "I got a settlement, therapy, but I never really healed. I pretended, got good at reading people, making them think I was stable. But when I met you, Evan, you made me feel like I didn't have to fake it. And that terrified me." She looked away. So I ran. I finally reached for her hand, cold, trembling. "I wasn't in love with who you pretended to be," I said. "I was in love with you." She laughed, a bitter, soft sound. You still are. I didn't answer. We sat there for hours. Not everything was fixed. Not everything needed to be. She didn't come back to Chicago. I didn't stay in Maine. But we wrote. We spoke. Slowly, gently, honestly. We found our way back. This time not as fantasy, but as two broken people willing to try. We live together now. Took 2 years. Countless setbacks. But she's here. With me. Real. Raw. Beautiful in her flaws. Sometimes we still fight. She flinches when she hears yelling. I still wake up thinking she's gone again. But we talk. We listen. We stay. And every now and then, she'll drive me home from work, pull up to the curb, and smile in that same old way. "Wanna come to my place?" And I'll laugh. Because now it's our place. Some people enter your life like thunder, loud, quick, unforgettable. But others, they arrive like fog, quiet, gentle. And if you're lucky enough to stop and sit in it, you'll realize that even the heaviest past can lift when someone finally sees you and stays. Love isn't always sweet. Sometimes, it's choosing someone every day even when it hurts. Even when the past tries to bury you. But healing happens in the choosing.